Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Reboot. And firstly, thank you for all of the comments, all of the likes, all of the subscribes to the channel. It really does mean a huge amount. So for this video, what I thought we would do is talk a little bit more about sound. It's certainly something that hits you when you arrive in Cambodia, either as a tourist or as a long-term expat. So I thought we would explore how sound affects the experience here and how over time things can shift. So to talk about this, I thought rather than look at me, I would take you down to Wat Chork, which is about 5 minutes down the road, and discuss noise as we wander around the temple. You know, when I first moved to Cambodia, I didn't realize how loud life could be. Not just in volume, I mean the presence of sound everywhere all the time, like the country is in a conversation with itself from dawn until well after dark. And I'll be honest, it used to drive me crazy. I'd lie awake in bed wondering, what is that now? Someone hammering, a wedding again, karaoke, chickens, fireworks, dogs fighting, a man shouting into a megaphone about durians. At first it felt like the country was yelling at me. I bought earplugs, I closed every window, I even tried sleeping with white noise from my phone, which felt ironic, drowning out the real world with artificial static. All because I couldn't handle the real soundtrack of Cambodia. But something strange happened. Over time I stopped noticing it, and eventually I started to love it. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not the silence I lost, but the peace I found inside the noise. When I first got here, I treated noise like it was something to be fought, like it was a personal attack. And I guess because in the West, noise often signifies danger or dysfunction. Sirens, shouting, alarms, disruption. But in Cambodia, noise is life. Life here doesn't tiptoe. It arrives with a wedding tent outside your gate. It blares distorted love songs through ancient speakers. It involves a pig being butchered at 5 a.m., a group of teenagers practicing traditional dance in the street, and yes, your neighbour's cousin's funeral that goes on for 3 days straight. It's not quiet, but then it's not supposed to be. Let's talk about buses. Have you ever taken a local bus across Cambodia? You think you're going to have a quiet journey, maybe listen to a podcast, stare out the window. But no. Half the passengers are watching Khmer-dubbed action movies on their phones. No headphones. Full volume. Competing volumes, actually. One guy's watching a Thai ghost drama. The woman in front is watching a Chinese historical series with lots of weeping. The guy behind is watching a slapstick comedy. No one thinks it's rude, and no one complains. That's just what people do. And weirdly, after a few hours, it started to feel normal to me, almost comforting, like being in a moving living room full of strangers. You hear gunshots, laughter, music, crying, and you're still an hour outside Battambang. And eventually you just stop trying to block it out. Funerals, that's a different kind of noise altogether. If you've never experienced a Cambodian funeral up close, let me tell you, it's not subtle. It's days of chanting, tents, giant speakers, white banners, and a type of ceremonial music that's part haunting, part hypnotic, and always loud. The first one I experienced was a few doors down. I woke up to what sounded like a slow, echoing warble of horns and gongs playing over a loudspeaker. It ran for hours, then it took a break, then it started again, and went on for days. I didn't understand what was being said, but the emotion of it, the presence of grief expressed openly, collectively, was unmistakable. In the West, grief is private. It's quiet, it's often hidden. In Cambodia, it's public, it's community-wide, and it's loud, because mourning is a shared burden. I've come to respect that deeply. The noise of a funeral here says that that person mattered, and we will not carry on quietly. I live near Wat Chork now. It's one of those temples that looks serene from the outside. Golden rooftops, saffron robes drifting through the grounds, birds circling lazily above the stupas, peaceful, tranquil, sacred. But let me tell you, Wat Chork makes noise. Not always, but when it does, you feel it. There are mornings when the chanting starts before sunrise, not gently either, straight through the loudspeakers, bouncing off the walls of every house within a few blocks. At first I thought someone was playing a religious podcast at full blast, but no, it's real-time prayer. The community is participating, the monks are guiding it. And on ceremonial days, the sound system gets a real workout. Drums, music, chanting, announcements, all a part of the temple's heartbeat. There's a rhythm to it now that I've come to know. Sometimes I even pause what I'm doing and just listen. Because as much as it once grated on me, it's become something else. A reminder that life here isn't hidden, that worship isn't whispered, that connection to spirit, to tradition, to family, it's done out loud. Living near Wat Chork has taught me that not everything sacred needs to be silent. Sometimes it arrives through a crackling speaker at 5 a.m. and still somehow brings peace. The thing is, none of this is random. There's a rhythm to the chaos. Mornings begin with brooms, the sound of sweeping, always sweeping. Then come the birds, not peaceful cooing ones, but strange mechanical-sounding squawks that sound like an old printer dying. You'll hear the rattle of carts, the early chatter of market vendors, kids laughing, motos starting up like chainsaws on cough syrup. Then the monks passing by, not with bells like many imagine, but with quiet footsteps and the occasional low hum or chant in the background as they receive offerings from families in pyjamas. At midday the volume changes, metal pots banging, loud conversations, the distant hum of construction. Maybe a rooster screaming its lungs out in a random backyard, music from a nearby shop that still uses CDs. And by evening, everything collides. The neighbour's child is screaming for no reason. The alley kids are having a plastic bottle football match. Someone starts cooking and the wok sounds like a fireworks test site. Karaoke fires up either traditional Khmer ballads or someone absolutely murdering a Celine Dion song. You don't even flinch anymore. And then the weddings. My God, the weddings. The first time a wedding tent went up outside my gate, I didn't know what was happening. One day the road was clear. The next it was covered with a giant canopy, chairs, fairy lights, speakers the size of refrigerators, and an uncle with a microphone who would not stop talking. I couldn't get my bike out. I couldn't sleep. The bass was so deep I could feel it in my teeth. And the music? Imagine a Khmer techno remix of an already emotional love song with bonus reverb and absolutely no volume control. But here's the twist. I was the only one annoyed. Everyone else was happy, smiling, celebrating, because it wasn't just about the couple. It was about the village, the family, the street, a shared joy. So eventually I gave in. I went outside, I sat down, I had a beer with a stranger and took a plate of rice and curry from a woman I didn't know. And the noise didn't stop, but it stopped bothering me. Because that's the thing. When you live in Cambodia long enough, you'll realize that the noise isn't a nuisance. It's a presence, a pulse. It tells you people are alive, together, struggling, celebrating, mourning, laughing. You stop needing things to be quiet to feel peaceful. You stop expecting the world to revolve around your preferences. You let the place be what it is. And somewhere in all of that, you change too. I used to think I needed silence to focus. Now, I've written entire projects with a wedding on one side, a funeral on the other, and a puppy losing its mind behind me. And weirdly, I work better. Because I stopped resisting the world. I learned how to be still inside the noise. And that more than anything is what Cambodia has taught me. Now when I walk through my neighbourhood at night and hear the old hum of life, the distant thrum of a moto, laughter echoing down the alley, the crackle of a radio in the next house over, I don't reach for my headphones anymore. I pause, because these aren't disruptions, they're reminders. Reminders that people are living, that life is messy and loud and joyful and hard all at once, and that I get to witness it. And I thought about this a lot recently. If I ever leave Cambodia, even just for a while, it won't be the temples I miss the most, or the mangoes, or the gelato at the gelato lab, or even the weather. It'll be this messy, beautiful, unstoppable noise. The sound of food being cooked over charcoal, the squeal of a rusty bicycle, the neighbour who sings in her yard like nobody's listening, the buzz of a country that doesn't sleep quietly. I used to try to escape it. Now it feels like home. The noise doesn't bother me anymore. It keeps me company. So I hope you enjoyed that tour of Wat Chork and my thoughts on sound and noise and how my perception of noise has changed over the last 5 years of being here. So that's it for this vlog. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments box below. But otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye bye.